So welcome to I guess unfortunately another law class, but so much happened this past weekend. And so I'm going live now. I normally use this vMix studio that I have, but it doesn't allow me to communicate with you all. And I kind of feed on my audience. And so I can't see the questions and stuff when I'm on the other setup. And so I'd rather do it the ghetto way and set it up this way. That way I can at least feed off of y'all. Because it's hard, when you don't have an audience to be teaching a class that's a live class and you can't see your live students. But I want to talk about this because, this past weekend was Memorial Day weekend. And I did a post on the Tuskegee Airmen. And, you had to wonder because a lot of brothers going back from slavery up until now, black men and women who fought in the Revolutionary War, who fought in the Civil War for the freedom of World War II, Vietnam. Right now, you have to wonder, when you're celebrating that type of weekend, and then to see the stuff that we saw over this past weekend, man, burns me the hell up. But I wanted to tell you legally what's going on. So we had another I Can't Breathe death in custody, and we also had this lady in Central Park that made this false claim that an African-American man was attacking her. And we're going to get to her in a minute. But see, the reason why I did my post earlier, that the reason why she's claiming that there's a black man attacking me is because it becomes so believable. It's so entrenched in our society that it allows what happens here, that what we saw to our brother up in Minneapolis today. And so bear with me as we go through here, right? And so I'm going to talk a little bit about positional asphyxia. Right? When I did civil rights cases in Cincinnati, and some of y'all remember Daryl Price was killed very much like this. And this is before, and his death happened before they really started talking about positional asphyxia, and it became mandated that police departments implement this type of training so that people don't die in custody like this. But young Daryl Price, man, he had when I went down to see the autopsy, you could see the knee prints that was in his back, and they had him in a prone position, laying face down, handcuffed, ended up having a heart attack and dying because he couldn't get enough air, which generated the heart attack. And then so you'll hear them claim, well, he had cocaine in the system and stuff like that. And you're watching this case here. But here's what's going on. Now, you see the knee on the neck, right? And you remember the brother Eric Garner in New York when he kept saying, I can't breathe. And what happens is, and the reason why this is important, is that when the police put somebody who has either resisted arrest or been agitated or who may be overweight, etc., when they put them in a prone position, on their stomach, right? And they are putting pressure on their diaphragm. When the person is coming out saying, I can't breathe, the air is coming out. And because there's still pressure on the diaphragm, you can't get air back in. This is not me talking about it. Go look it up, right? This is the medical issues that happen when you put somebody in this position and you leave them there, right? And so it's a technique used to control and restrain a subject and may interfere with the individual's ability to breathe. This can result in custody death from a phenomenon called positional asphyxia. This is what police officers are being trained with. When they go to the academy, some of this language that I use came straight from some of these academies, okay? And so it's telling them, look, when you put somebody down like that, here's some of the stuff that could happen, right? And so the risk factors, what are the risk factors? The subject is restrained and placed in the face down or prone position. You can see the brother right there. What are factors that lead to cause of death? So there's a violent struggle. A lot of times there may be a struggle. So people who have engaged in a difficult and aggressive struggle may be more susceptible to respiratory. Look, these are things that they're telling the police when they're getting trained in the academy. Officer, when you are arresting somebody who may be resistant, once you get them on the ground and you get them face down and you put pressure on them, once you have them handcuffed, right, they are prone to die in custody if you don't do certain things. They're not able to breathe. That's why he's telling you, I can't breathe. That's why we're training you, right? officers not to do this kind of stuff. Excited delirium is another reason why a person that's restrained, you can see the restraints on this person I have in this little slide up here, right? Where he's being restrained, right? And you can't really tell, but he's face down. And these are pictures of people who actually died in custody, right? Subjects who are under the influence of cocaine or meth while in restraints may experience a condition known as excited delirium. This can generate a heart attack. Alcohol and drugs is a significant risk factor in positional asphyxiation because it lowers the, when you drink alcohol or, take opiates or whatever, it has an effect on your respiratory system. You don't breathe as good. Individuals who have been drinking heavily are among those most likely to die in custody from medical events. The position of the body, and this is Eric Garner, right? The position of the body, death due to head down position with hyperflexion of the neck is a rare event. It's however critical. Let's look at this. Critical condition arising out of particular body that can lead to mechanical obstruction of respiration. Studies have suggested that restraining a person in a face-down position is likely to cause greater restriction of breathing than restraining a person face up. Keep in mind, our brother here, Eric Garner in New York, was restrained in that position. You see him in there. The brother that was in Minneapolis and was killed earlier was face down, right, with a knee in his neck. And there were other, you couldn't see it. I got a picture where there were 3 other officers on the rest of his body, right? So here you see the one officer has him, he's handcuffed already. The officer has his knee on his neck. The brother's saying, I can't breathe. He's not a threat to them at all. And what the training tells these knuckleheads is once you get the person down, then you got to get them out of that position immediately, right? What they do here is they let this go on for 10 minutes. And it's almost like they're mad at the man because he had resisted arrest, because you can hear him talking to him when you're listening to the videotape. And they're telling him 2 things. Okay, are you ready to get in the car now? And he says, yeah, but I can't get up. I want to get to see, because here's a picture. It's 4 cops. You got the guy here. You got the guy here with his knee in his neck. This is the guy right here that's standing there taunting all the onlookers. Okay, and allowing these guys over here to kill this brother down here. So you got him with the knee on the neck. They got their knees on his back and they're pressing down on his back. And again, this is the reason why you need to understand this law. It's not just that they're choking him to death. It's that when they're putting the pressure on the back, look, let me go back real quick. Right? When they're putting the pressure on the back, these are pictures of people that died in custody as a result of this positional asphyxiation. These are real pictures I got off the internet. Okay? When you're putting the pressure on the back, the person that they can't breathe in and out. Go for a long run and then lay down on the concrete and then have somebody step on your back or press on your back. Hey man, you ain't gonna be able to breathe. And as long as they keep that pressure there, when you are saying I can't breathe, your air is going out of your body, but you're not gonna be able to suck it back in. That's why eventually you hear he can't talk anymore, because he can't get any more air. All the air that he had in his cage is gone out, and nothing can come back in because they don't allow him, they don't roll him over. And look, like I said, I did these cases, right? And Daryl Price was the first one. And Daryl Price led to the Cincinnati Police Department at least implementing some of these tactics so that they could be better trained in not killing people in the prone position. And so again, when he's down like that, he can't breathe. That's why both of them, I can't breathe. They're not just saying that shit just to be saying it. They're saying it because they can't breathe. He's saying I can't breathe. And this asshole right here, see what he's doing? He's looking at the crowd like, what y'all gonna do? What y'all gonna do? Right? The more y'all antagonize me, the more I'm gonna keep my knee in his neck. Now that's some bold stuff for them to be on film, knowing that this goes against their training. Right? And like I said, that's 4 of them. See, this is the back part of it. That's why it was 4 of them fired. One standing here, and then you got 3 down here. See, remember, it's 4 cops that got fired now. We know that now. Why? Because you got these 3 knuckleheads still pressing down on him. And then they're saying things to him like, are you ready to get out of the car? And he's saying, yeah, but he can't move. Now, you can't see it. His hands are in his pockets. See, here's what they're going to claim. They're going to claim, look, this guy was still resisting. Remember Rodney King video when they kept beating the shit out of Rodney King, even though he was down? Remember, he was down in a prone position? Y'all remember that? Y'all go on YouTube and put in Rodney King, how they was beating that man down, and he was in that position. And they kept saying the reason why we kept hitting him is he's still resisting. He could be a threat to us. Well, if you're sitting here with your hands in your pocket, you couldn't be that concerned that this man is a threat to you. See, that's what this, and here go the okie doke. And they do this crap all the time. What was he doing 10 minutes before? Because this is when me and my white friends start to fall out. See, I got some white friends that say, well, you know, we really haven't seen all the video. You saw 10 minutes of this man saying he can't breathe. You got 4 cops. You got 1 here, 3 there. And they not right. He ain't concerned. He know he looking at the crowd. Look, he looking at the crowd because he know they already got it under control. Now what they doing is punishing the man because they claim he resisted earlier. But see, you know, some of my justice-loving white friends, they'll say things like, hey, and some of y'all coons out there, they do the same thing too. It ain't just, you know, white. There's some coons out there that, you know, black folks that don't want to admit they black. And always don't want to be like, well, I ain't like the rest of them. You know, he should have just listened, as if that's a sentence to death. Now, they say this was over a forgery. Now, I don't know about y'all, but at least in this part of the United States here in Hawaii, there are a lot of people at this pandemic that is hungry. There are a lot of people who ain't getting the money from unemployment. There are a lot of people who starving. And there are a lot of people out there who may be doing certain things to get some food. Now, I don't know if that's what the man was doing or not, and it really don't matter. It really don't matter. What matters is when, you know, to me, when I hear, well, what was he doing before? We haven't seen the whole tape. What difference do it make what he was doing before? The question is, at the time that you got your knee in his neck, at the time you got your knee in his neck for 10 minutes and your hands in your pocket, and these other 2 knuckles, at the time that y'all pressing down on his diaphragm to where he can't breathe freely, for those 10 minutes, was he a threat to y'all? Was he in custody? Does your training tell you, as we talked about earlier, again, the training tells you when you got individuals like this, you have to move them as soon as possible. So once you get them in handcuffs, take them out that position. That's what the training says. How do I know it? Because I sued the shit out of a lot of y'all for the same thing. And so this ain't Professor Lawson just going on some racial rant. You know, every time this shit come up, we get accused of playing the race card and all this other shit. I said, man, look, y'all see, I go on my Facebook page. I posted another Karen video. Remember the Karen grandma that didn't want to get a ticket? She didn't want to sign for her ticket. And so she took the police on a high-speed chase. And when the police officer got her out, she started kicking him. And even when he's trying to arrest her, right, he ain't tasing her. He tased her, but he ain't shooting her. He ain't beating her or nothing like that. He made sure she was okay after he got her under control. That stuff don't happen in our neighborhood. Like this happened in our neighborhood. And he being videotaped and still got the balls and still put it on there. And y'all want to make it seem like somehow, oh, this is Memorial Day. What are we celebrating? The people that gave their lives for this country. Really? Black folks, yeah, black folks been giving their lives since the American Revolution, through the Civil War. Right? And then while we celebrate Memorial Day weekend, we got to look at stuff like this. Right? And then this. Wait. Now see, the reason why I'm doing a law class on both of these is because this, right, leads to this. You calling the police on a black man Y'all don't believe me, do y'all? Let me tell y'all something. Look, you go back in the fall of 1989. Remember Charles Stewart up in Boston? A white man brutally murdered his wife in cold blood, right? He killed her. Then he shot himself, right? And then in the abdomen, he dialed 911, reported in a raspy voice, a black man had shot me and he killed my wife. Man, all hell broke loose out there in Boston. And for the black men that was living in Boston, man, they got jacked up until this man's brother finally came forward and said, my brother been lying. They had actually arrested a black man for killing this man's wife and shooting him. Man, y'all, hey, look here. Y'all think, see, and then we got some people talking about, oh, I feel sorry for the dog. See, y'all don't understand this shit. Now, I feel sorry for the dog too, right? But that dog ain't human. She should be charged with the dog and for making a false police report. Now go to, remember Susan Smith, 1994, allowed her car to roll down into it. She put her kids in the car, put a brick on the gas pedal, and let it drive down into a lake, and she drowned her 2 young sons. And then she went on the media nationwide, tearfully crying and pointed the finger at a mythical black man wearing a ski mask who supposedly robbed her, forced her out of her car, and drove her with her 2 children. Now that was a false claim. And see, what they ain't telling y'all is all the black men in South Carolina that got jacked up, the shit beat out of them. You know who did it, right? They wasn't sitting in there talking about, you know, are you a son, right? They was beating the crap out of police, beating the crap out of black men, looking for somebody who would do this to a white woman and her kids. And what makes her think that if I call the police is because she didn't say there's a man accosting me. She didn't say there's a man yelling. She said there's an African American man. It's a black man yelling at me. And see, you know, I got, you know, there's, you know, people up here and you know, lost, you know, colleagues that like to write and talk about implicit racial bias. Man, y'all can take that shit and shove it up your ass. Ain't no, if we learned anything, ain't nothing implicit about this. This is explicit racism. Ain't nothing, right? And had he not been videotaping that, he'd be in a jail cell talking about with somebody believe me that I didn't threaten this white lady. I just asked her to put her dog on a leash, which was a law. I'm asking her to follow the law. Had he not had a videotape, what do you think he'd be at right now? Shit. Yeah, hey, right? John Crawford. Now those y'all live in Ohio. See, John Crawford was in Walmart in August of 2014. And Walmart sells air rifles. And he picked up an air rifle off the shelf and was talking to his girlfriend on a cell phone. And some white customer called the 911 and lied on him and said he in here threatening us with weapons, with a gun, with a real gun. Like, same thing this woman been doing, lying on him. And because the video shows when John Crawford was in Walmart, he just walking around. Y'all know what? Go Google it. Go to YouTube and Google videotape of John Crawford in Walmart. He walking around a cell phone, playing with a gun, not pointed at nobody. People walking by him and all that. But see, some caller that was just like her, when I call in the 911 and say, we got a black man in Walmart in the Midwest of Ohio, and he threatening people with a gun. And the cops came in and within 1 second killed him. Within 1 second killed him. And so when y'all, you know, like I said, I feel, I understand this stuff with the dog and all that. And right, she shouldn't have been looking. You can see her sitting here where choking the dog. But see, what y'all don't realize is that this was a call to the police to come jack up a black man. Hey, man. So like I said, the reason why this stuff is important is y'all got to know. Just in case they try, because what they're gonna do is they're gonna try to deflect. Let's go back to this case. They're gonna go try to deflect and talk about what was he doing beforehand. It don't matter. It don't matter. He could have been doing backflips, doing those, whatever. At the time that you have him in handcuffs, and at the time that you got these other three down here on top of him for 10 minutes, and you got a crowd of people out here telling y'all he can't breathe. He telling you I can't breathe. This man sat down there and cried for his mama. And cried for his mother saying he can't breathe. And he want to sit there with his hands in his pockets and just look at the crowd almost as if to say, what y'all gonna do? Now they done fired him. But those of you that practice in this area, and those of you that understand the police unions are strong. Hey, y'all seen it in Cincinnati in the cases that I did, and you seen it in Tamir Wright. Them cops get their jobs back. Them cops get their jobs back. What the hell's going on with my thing up here, man? Keep moving around. I'm becoming too vocal in here. But yeah, they get their jobs back. Right? And so I'm gonna say this one more time, because I got some friends, that so-called black friends, that keep talking about this stuff with Joe Biden. I keep saying, look, y'all keep and President Obama ain't done nothing. Let me explain something to y'all. If you want to see your civil rights evaporate fast, keep putting Trump and McConnell in office to get rid of all of our federal judges. Because that's the threat. All this other stuff y'all talking about, man, is if you don't get out there and vote, and you're Justice Ginsburg hanging on by a thread, but she hanging on for a reason. And what she's saying is, we going back in time, and I'd rather go home and lay down. I'm tired. But I ain't too tired to sit here in this chair until y'all get to another election. That's what this is about. The reason why they letting President Trump do these things is because McConnell and them back there stacking the federal bench. That's why they ain't saying nothing. Like, they let him be the distraction. And then some of y'all coons out there falling for this shit. Now, you know, I'm not talking to my white friends now. I'm talking to my black friends, because and I call you coons know who I'm talking about. Like I said, you want to go celebrate Memorial Day, and you go back and look at all the people that made sacrifices for us to be here, right? Trying to make things right. And then you want to go back and then turn that stuff back by saying, oh, you know what? Ain't no difference between President Trump and Biden. And then you watch to see who they put on that Supreme Court. You watch to see who they keep stacking these federal courts with. And the next thing you know, when you can't use your vote the way you're supposed to be able to use your vote, when you can't sue because you've been discriminated against because you're black, when you ain't got a damn civil right left, then you'll understand what the hell I've been trying to tell you. But you want to get bamboozled. Now, you know, I'm getting off point, but you know what? Y'all need to really wake the fuck up about some of this stuff and stop getting out in these trenches, posting this stuff about President Obama. Like, you know, hey, well, Obama didn't, you know, and you guys, hey, what's the guy's name with the big afro that stayed on Obama forever? Came up to my university and spoke when I was in college. What the hell was his name? Want to go out, he always using big words and turn into a damn coon. What's his name? Somebody tell me his name. Let me look over here. Y'all know what I'm talking about. He a professor somewhere. Always him and what was it? Other talk show hosts. They just kept staying on Obama. Anyway, ain't nobody y'all. Well, I'll figure out who they all talk. Cornell West, and was it Tavis Smiley? Go back, man. They stayed on President Obama like he ain't doing nothing. Man, look here. He had a Senate telling him, look, when you got some senators from 2000. I think it was George Voinovich, who's retired, said the other day in 2000. When Obama became president, we made it our mission, and we weren't going to prove nothing he did. Nothing he did. No judges, no nothing. And then y'all want to sit back and say, well, what did he do? What could he do? He appointed Eric Holder, who did a whole lot to try to rectify some of the stuff going on when Eric Holder was the Attorney General, going back through here trying to rectify some of this police misconduct and police brutality in Ferguson, in Cleveland, in Seattle, and in other cities that were having trouble and continue to have trouble in use of force in Black people and people of color. But see, y'all want to get on here and start feeding into this bullshit and then start tweeting and getting on Facebook talking about something you don't know what you're talking about. Now, like I told y'all, if you want me to ask you a question about taxes or contracts, I'm going to tell you straight up, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I don't do that type of law. But don't come on here telling me all this. Yeah, it was Tavis Smiley, man, and Cornell West. Hey, go back and they ain't saying nothing about Donald Trump. Nothing. But then, you know, I'm telling you, man, so every brother, like Public Enemy said, every brother ain't a brother. It was a hand of a nigga that pulled the trigger on Malcolm X. So, all right, so now I'm back talking to everybody. I was talking to my Black family, now I'm back talking to everybody else. So I'm tired of seeing it. So look, to sum it up, again, it wasn't so much of Eric Garner. I want to go back to Eric Garner's picture one more time and this other brother, because I want y'all to understand this positional asphyxiation stuff. It's not so much, you see the chokehold right here? That plays a role in it. But keep in mind, they had Eric on his stomach too. And it's over time. Because he's still, he's not being choked enough to where he can't talk. He still can say, I can't breathe. What happens though is because of he's got a lot of weight, and because when they pull him back over on his stomach, here, and they put pressure on it, each time air goes out, he can't breathe air back in. And so eventually what happens is you become asphyxiated, and it happens a lot more than what you think, right? And so then it generates that heart attack. And what they'll do is they'll come back after the autopsy and say, well, he has some cocaine in him. That's what they didn't say about. Then that's what generated the heart attack. That's what they said about Daryl Price and other, you know, just right. But he wasn't having a heart attack until you got there and start putting all that weight on him. And so be careful, because what they're gonna do to our brother here is they may say, oh, he had meth in him, he had cocaine in him, he had some marijuana in him. And so it wasn't the fact that the police officers did this, it was the struggle. He was struggling, he was resisting arrest, he had a heart attack because of the cocaine, and so we can't call it a homicide. But that's what it is, right? That's what it is, because again, that's why I showed you the training. Their training says that when you get these people down and you got them in this position, get them out of this prone position, turn them over, lift them up, or whatever, but you can't leave them face down and put pressure on their back and their hands are cuffed behind their back and they're telling you they can't breathe. If you do that, you'll kill them. If you do that, especially in cases where, and you know, again, in cases where there's been a struggle, right? They said the guy had been resisting arrest. Okay, so people who have engaged in difficult and aggressive struggle may be more susceptible to respiratory, muscle fatigue, and failure. This is what they're training the police with. These knuckleheads either got trained or should have been trained, because this comes out of the police training manuals. That's what I would get when I was suing. Well, how are you trained? Okay, and so why didn't you follow your training? All right, so that's all I got. Any questions on here real quick? Now, so somebody said, well, is it flat out murder? That's going to be a hard, murder case is going to be hard to prove. Unless it's what they call depraved heart murder. In other words, where your conduct is so reckless, where you don't care if your conduct is going to cause death. In other words, you're not trying to kill the person, but you're just so reckless, right? That you should know that by engaging in this, you got a gun, you put one bullet in, and you keep what they do with the trigger, you know what I mean? Then you start pointing and right, it's so reckless that you have a depraved heart. In other words, you don't care if they live or die. And that when you look at this guy's picture, right here, and you go watch that video, and people are talking directly to him. Can't he just looking dead? He ain't saying. He just looking like, what y'all gonna do? I got my knee on his neck, my hands in my pocket, and I know he's sitting there crying for his mama, and y'all telling me to get off of him, and I'm just staring right back at y'all. So yeah, I think they could get a charge for murder. Any other questions? Watching other prosecutors are raising the defense of this event. Yeah. Well, see, what happens is this. In a case like, so let's say they charge you, and y'all seen these cases. Let's say they charge the cops with a homicide, and then they put the cops up and they talk about the stellar records the cops have, and then they try to trounce the victim's record. Now he was, really what they're trying to say is, look, when you look at the victim, I don't know if the brother had a record or not. Right, whatever it is, what they do in their MO, it's the same thing they're doing with Brother Aubrey down, and they've been doing it since they showed the videotape of that man being hunted in Georgia. It's trying to degrade him. Same thing they did with Trayvon Martin. So what they'll do is they'll say, look, we got these officers out there trying to, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, these officers out there every day risking their lives to protect you and me. And every now and then they may make a mistake, but they're out there risking their lives. Now, the plaintiff who's suing the clients or the prosecuting our officers want you to second guess them, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, on what they would have done had they been involved in a man who was so violent that it took 4 of them to bring him down. And they want you, ladies and gentlemen, to sit there and find them guilty of murder when all this man had to do was just behave himself. Oh no, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you can't do that to our people. I mean, this guy had a record, like he died, right? And what it's going to come down to is they're going to try to make it seem like, why are you going to ruin these people when they're protecting you? You meaning, right? The people out there in the suburbs. These cops protect you from people like me or us, black folks, right? And so it ain't being said as right, like I'm saying it. It's being said, in that old subtle language, us versus them. And that's how it's coming across. All right, any other what's rhetorical, Callie? No need to reply. Any other questions before I let you guys go? All right, so the good news is they fired him. Now let's see what happens. Because again, to me, it's called deliberate indifference. It means that you may not have set out to kill this man, right? But by your actions, you were deliberately indifferent to their life or to life or death. Deliberately indifferent. Because see, when y'all asking this man, here's part of the evidence. And I don't know when y'all asking, because if I was crossing, when you were asking him, when you were one of your, this is what you say when you get him on the stand, right? You were looking up at people and you could hear them talking, right? Yeah. They were telling you to get it off his neck, yeah. And you had your hands in your pocket, yeah. He wasn't threatening you at that point. If he say yeah, he was, then anybody that's being physically threatened ain't gonna have their hands in their pocket. They're gonna be in a position to defend or to grab or you know what I mean. So you just keep on going with him, and so it's you and 2 other guys, and he's handcuffed at this point, is he not? Yeah, he's no longer a threat. Yeah, in fact, all you need to do is put him in the car, but you leave him down there. You're teaching him a lesson, aren't you? You want to let him know next time I tell you under arrest, just go under arrest, because if you don't, there's going to be a price to pay. You're making him pay that price, aren't you? That's why you got your knee in his neck, right? Because you're not trying to subdue him, because he's telling you, and everybody can hear it on tape, that he's willing to get in the car. He ain't moving because he can't move. So really what you're doing is you're not making an arrest, you're inflicting punishment, aren't you? And your punishment is, look, next time I tell you, boy, to stop and get under arrest, you're going to hear what I got to say. Because when you don't, there's a price to pay. See, that price that he should be paying is resisting arrest. And then the judge should issue out whatever, if he's convicted, should issue out the punishment, officer. But why is it that you think, I just messed up my screen, but why is it that you think somehow you get to be judge, jury, and executioner? Okay, and you got to pay for that. So yeah, like I said, learn the law. That way you know. That way you know that what they're doing to him is illegal. When the man said he couldn't breathe, all they had to do was let him up. Now they're gonna come in and say, well, we were trying to get him secured and all that. That's some bullshit. He got his hands in his pockets and they ain't doing nothing. The other one that's walking around, looking at the people in the cameras, where he at? Make sure I got him up here. Yeah, there you go, right here. This guy right here, you can't see him, but he up there just looking at people, right? If this man was such a threat, all four of them be on it. But he looking at these people, and all they doing is saying, guess what? We're gonna flex on y'all. The more y'all talk, the more we're gonna keep our knee on his neck. The more y'all keep complaining and taking video of me, the more I'm gonna keep my knee on his neck. And see, that's the arrogance that got them fired. Now the question is going to be, can they stay fired? The second question is going to be, is they going to be charged? But y'all keep following the case because they're going to demonize your brother, and don't fall for that now. So don't some of my friends don't say, well, what was he doing beforehand? I don't want to hear it. They went there. Who was it? The white kid that shot up that black church and they took him to McDonald's or the Burger King. That man come in there and kill, what, 15 brothers and sisters in the church? Police ain't had they didn't have a knee on his neck. They took that man. Y'all think I'm lying? They took that man to Burger King. So like I said, when they see us, this is the kind of stuff that happens. Hey, look, I've been on here too long. Thanks for joining my law class. I kind of like to bring this stuff to you so you understand exactly what's going on. So when they say that this was okay, you already know. Come back and flip on this video. Here's what they trained. Here's how they trained. Here's how they know that putting him down there is dangerous. And so when they do it after they've been trained not to do it, lets you know they're trying to commit murder. And when you go back to this woman here, this is the reason why that's dangerous. Because she like I said, she know the code word. All she got to say is, hey, a black man did it. Go talk to Emmett Till's family. Right? Hey, that's why, like hey, for brothers, hey, if you're interviewing, you leave your door open, you're always visible. Always visible. Hey, if I interview a student, hey, my door open and everybody can see me and hear me. See, the only thing to say, this man was that videotape. Now she in there, just making a false allegation. Y'all remember the Starbucks brothers? They in there sitting down there waiting. They called the police on them. Two black guys sitting in there waiting on somebody to join them in Starbucks. Now you can go into Starbucks all day long and get on their Wi-Fi and sit there and sip on some water and coffee for about 10 hours. You got people to do that. That's their office. These two brothers go in there. Next thing you know, the police is arresting them for what? Man. Y'all made me lose my voice up in here. All right. But go back through this video. Those of you that joined late, we went all the way through it. Charles Stewart talking about a black man shot his wife and shot him. John Crawford. So anyway, go to my YouTube channel, check out my other videos, like my videos, subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you all later.